Greetings, Tezos Nation. Welcome to another edition of TezTalks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons. Joining me today is Diane Drubay, visual artist and founder of We Are Museums, the team behind WAC Lab. WAC Lab, for those who might not know, is a Web3 innovation lab aimed at guiding museums and other cultural institutions toward Web3 literacy and prototyping. The third season of WAC Lab recently wrapped up, with a fourth season now in the works. Diane is here to fill us in on what took place in WAC Lab's third season and what's ahead for season 4. On today's stream, we'll be giving away 25 Tez to one of our lucky viewers. If you'd like that lucky viewer to be you, keep an ear out for a keyword later on during this stream. Then comment with the keyword below this video where it's posted by the @Tezos Commons account on X. Hi, Diane. How are things in Berlin?
Hi, Stu. All good. Like it's summer here. It's amazing.
Lovely, lovely. To get the ball rolling, can you tell us a little bit about your background and your personal journey into the exciting world of blockchain technology?
Sure. So, as you said, I'm a visual artist, and it's actually how I started experimenting really with blockchain back in 2021. So, not such a long time ago. But before that, I was curious about the technology and how it could be applied to museums and cultural institutions. I ran different workshops and conferences on the topic, trying to understand if it was the right time. And we did that in 2018, 2019. So yeah, with this research in the early days and then my personal artistic practice on Hiketnung, that's basically how I came into this beautiful space.
Okay. And that journey, of course, has led you to becoming a founder at We Are Museums, which, as I mentioned, is the team behind WAC Lab. But before we dive into WAC Lab and what it's up to these days, can you explain what We Are Museums is and tell us about its organizational mandate?
Sure. So I think it's good to understand that I started my career as a blogger. I just created content and I was blogging all around new technologies for museums back in the days when I was still a student. And this was actually the topic of my thesis. And then, so after spending a lot of time in France, working for French museums, and trying to onboard them using new technologies, I started to be curious about other types of museums and other types of countries. Going far away from France, well, not too far, I actually went to Vilnius in Lithuania, and that's how I started We Are Museums. With a strong belief that we are all creating what is a museum of the future, and we are all, as individual and content creators, we are all creating the museums of the future. So this all started as a big conference about the future of museums, trying to mix the museum professionals from different institutions, such as the Rijksmuseum, Tate, and more, and very local museums. And my goal was to create this meeting place where, different models can actually meet, maybe clash, or maybe merge. So we've done this conference for a few years. We've been traveling in different countries. We were in Lithuania, we went in Latvia, in Romania, in Germany, in Poland, in Morocco. But then at one point, we actually realized that if you want to onboard museums into using innovation and different types of innovation, you need to spend more than just 3 days with them. And of course, I want to do things big. So being a consultant was just not enough for me anymore. So we started creating living labs. And these living labs actually last a few months or few years. And we did one big living lab around the ecological transition of museums called Museums Facing Extinction. And this lasted 3 years. And once we finished this one, we started WAC. And it's been now 3 years that we are running WAC. It means Web3 for the art and culture. But yeah, I think by running these multi-years labs, you can really help museums understand how to adopt new technologies or different types of innovation. It could be social or environmental.
Okay. So that was the next thing I was going to ask was about what WAC stands for. So it's Web3
It's WAC, so it's actually a funny word, WAC. Actually, I think people are starting to really love it. Like, let's whack together or something like that. It's yeah, it sounds funny at first, but like people are getting it. So it's WAC, Web3 for the art and culture.
Okay.
Easy.
So as an extension of what you're talking about with We Are Museums, where you're looking at um, bringing new technology, this is Web3 and blockchain focused.
Yeah. So we started talking about blockchain only, and actually mostly or only focusing on the Tezos blockchain. But then this year, we started to open up on more. Obviously, we started to integrate in our training generative AI, but also metaverse and immersive technologies. So now it's really encompassing Web3 with a broader definition, I would say. But I think what is really at the core of our definition of Web3 is the decentralization side of things. And really having this, mindset of always experimenting, always exploring something new. So it's not really only connected to blockchain anymore.
Okay. And as you mentioned, WAC Lab was officially launched back in 2021. Before we dive into what came out of WAC Lab Season 3 and what's ahead for Season 4, can you give us a bit of background about WAC Lab's first 2 years on the global Web3 arts and culture scene?
Sure. So I would say that every year is really different. The first one was a big experimentation for us, but also for the fellows and for our partners. We tried to find the right model, the right format, because now it's actually this 8 month format, which is, I think, now quite solid. But at the beginning, yeah, we tried different things. We even had a big hackathon on Gitcoin. So yeah, really different. But what was still the same was this desire to train cultural institutions so they can understand what is blockchain technology, but also the culture behind it and how they can use it. And then having this experimental, this incubation part where these fellows, these students or cultural institutions could really experiment, really do the thing, not just learn about it, but obviously open their wallet, mint their first NFTs, receive some giveaways and this kind of things, but even doing more. So I think the best example I could give from 2021, from the first season, was actually a beautiful collaboration with Light Art Space Foundation, based in Berlin. And so we worked really closely with the Tezos team in Berlin called TZ Connect, and we actually developed an on-site NFT audience engagement program, well, a journey. So basically, it was fully integrated into the artistic concept of the artist Ian Cheng. And at the end of the journey, at the end of the visit of the exhibition, the visitors could get an NFT. But it was not just an NFT, it was actually something highly personalized, because we were asking visitors up front to add their name and their birth date. And so they were getting a wristband, a paper wristband printed with this kind of prediction or oracle, really personalized one. And this was leading afterwards to this beautiful visual with the name on it and this oracle. And this was the NFT. So yeah, that's
Very cool.
the highlight of the first season, I think.
And now that now that third season has come and gone, how did Season 3 of WAC Lab turn out in your opinion? Like, were there any big takeaways from this season?
Yeah, so we just ended it last
Okay.
week, actually. And we had 10 cultural institutions starting their first Web3 project. I'm saying Web3 because we had one project which was not only about blockchain, which was totally new for us. I would say that I was super impressed by the diversity of institutions daring to really do this first step with us. We had a museum from Argentina, from Puerto Rico, a museum from Canada, an institution from Canada. We had Portugal. Like it was really global, and with different types of institutions. We had a big castle in France, but also just a art museum, classical, and yeah, different types of. So I would say season 3 was really special because we saw museums really, trying to understand what does it mean to use blockchain technology, and trying to understand what does it mean, to work in a decentralized ecosystem, and also trying to use this technology to engage better with their audiences. So it was not just about live minting and distributing NFTs. It was not about selling NFTs and trying to fundraise. It was much more. It was deeper, I would say, deeper in the strategy, smarter in the way they can use the technology itself. But yeah, do you want me to give you an example, or shall
Sure,
we
please.
after? Okay. So I think, we had 2 case studies which were really interesting. So the first one was actually explored by 3 institutions. It was all about distributing tokens to engage in a deeper way with their audiences. And their end goal is to start distributing these tokens, distributing benefits, collecting the tokens, and achieving different stages, I would say. But the end goal is to create a DAO. So really trying to let go of this power, decision power, letting go of the curatorial power as well, the operational decisions. So really trying to share the governance of what does it mean to run a program, what does it mean to curate an exhibition, or even to own a node library, actually. So I think this was really bold, seeing institutions thinking that this technology can be used to really decentralize operational models, curatorial models, or even the concepts of ownership. This was quite ambitious.
Well,
So they're
it's a
still working on it.
significant shift for them, right?
Huge. And I think we were lucky enough to attract institutions, having enough ambition and being crazy enough maybe to really push these boundaries, because it's not easy. We know it. It has been centuries of having solid ways of doing. And institutions, museums are not always about sharing the power or the decision making with others. So it is, it's really, really inspiring to see that they really embrace this decentralized mindset and just dare, basically be bold enough to just, okay, let's try. So of course they are not doing it on the entire museum. We're not there yet. So they're doing it on one program. They're doing it on one online platform, which is actually a platform where people can curate exhibitions or just curate open calls. But it's already amazing to see that they dare experiment with this kind of new mindset.
Well, in season 3, which were the institutions that participated and were willing to dare?
So talking about token-based engagement programs, we had the Museum Ulm in Ulm, so it's in the south of Germany, the Goethe Institute in Lisbon in Portugal, and 221A, it's a cultural center in Vancouver in Canada.
My home.
Nice. And then we also had the Château de Chambord, the Palace of Chambord, huge palace in the center of France. And they are actually experimenting with what could be a new type of club of donors. and they want to sell virtual replicas of the stone of the castle. We also had Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. They are experimenting with virtual spaces and how you can learn the craft of woodworking. Is it woodworking? So really specific, and they've done huge, really a beautiful environment in 4 weeks, really impressive. We also have the Museo de Arte de Puerto Rico, actually working with a video artist who will project on a huge screen our video art, and then visitors will be able to collect one snippet, actually one part of the video art. We are also working with the Museo de Arte Popular de José Hernández in Argentina, and they're working with the NFT artist Helios Santos, that you might know. And a few others.
So you've been very busy, it sounds like.
Yeah, I'm so glad I can rest a little bit.
So has your team worked with the same institutions year to year, or has it been an entirely new batch each season?
So in WAC Lab, we have 3 different components. One is weekly discussions around Web3 and cultural institutions called WAC Weekly. There, we are seeing people, recurring people. So we have, for instance, Christian Paul from the Whitney coming almost every week, Regina Arsani from the Museum of Moving Image, and many others coming every week. So that's our nice group of, people being curious about the latest news and also being really critical about what's happening. So we have nice debates. But then when it comes to the training and the incubator, it's always someone new, a new cohort. We are actually running open calls, so institutions, they have to apply to join, and it's really always different.
Okay. And the applications themselves, have those remained pretty consistent across all 3 of the seasons of WAC Lab, or has there been a wide variance in how these institutions want to apply this tech?
Really different. I would say the first season we had institutions, already having digital and technological innovation in their DNA. So museums or institutions ready to jump, ready to just, test it. And this was 2021. So, actually beginning of 2022, the application phase. So really easy, no need really to train them. They knew a lot of things. Season 2, we actually had a lot of institutions which have been thinking about it for quite a while, but they didn't know how to start, and they wanted to kick off finally, this Web3 journey with a program which was, limited in time. So we had teams ready to jump, but also waiting to receive good support, so they are not lost anymore, I would say. Because museum teams, they can think about what they will do for a long time before doing it. So having this time frame, only a few weeks, is really helpful for them. And season 3, really different. I will say we had a lot of institutions or professionals being really curious about it, feeling that they kind of missed something, that they want to, catch up. So we had institutions not so ready to do something, but really ready to learn and to be, to have their own opinion on everything and be critical about it, but in a positive way as well. So I think this year we had more people interested in the learning side of things rather than the doing. So it's every year so different, really.
Okay. So it was quite a long list you had of different institutions that you've spoken with about this. Um, in those conversations, like, what do those conversations about WAC Lab and about Web3 with the teams from museums and cultural institutions look like? Like, are blockchain technologies and their applications viewed as an important priority? Does it go beyond just curiosity into this is something that we need to learn about and we need to be able to do?
It's a tricky question, to be honest, because as I just explained, when you talk about cultural institutions and museums, especially, you have different profiles, different types. Some are tech savvies, it's part of the DNA, like Light Art Space Foundation, Next Museum, Serpentine, like they are all about the tech. So for them, it was, obvious to actually do something. Then you have the big museums like MoMA, Tate, Orsay, the Louvre. They are heavier, but they really want to show that they are not late. So they want to do something. That's why we saw MoMA doing this beautiful collaboration with Refik Anadol, and then having the MoMA postcards. We saw the Musée d'Orsay doing something with, the digital souvenir. They were actually part of season 2, and then doing something with the artist Agoria. And then you have other museums, they are big in their country, but small in the international scale, I would say. And they want to do something, but for the local population. So they want to do something which is relevant locally, something which is easy. So really not showing the tech. They want to use blockchain to attract new audiences, but they don't want to use the word blockchain. It should be totally hidden. And then you have other institutions really thinking, where most of the time it's one person within the team, which is a little bit a nerd and knowing about blockchain technology as the tech and not really about the everything around. And this person really understands that the tech can be used for, authenticity, preservation, maybe, also putting the collection on chain and then making it accessible to multiple museums. So that's, another type of audiences as well. But I'm not so sure I'm answering your question, actually.
I think you answered it just fine. Thank you.
Okay.
I understand your team has an upcoming event called the Digital Art Mile. Can you talk a
Mhm.
bit about that event and what those who participate and attend can expect to see?
Sure. So next week is Art Basel, and I think it was a beautiful move from the Tezos ecosystem to start their collaboration with Art Basel back in 2021 December in Miami. It's actually where we launched WAC Lab. And since then we've seen 5 times FXH and different people from the Tezos ecosystem experimenting during Art Basel and really trying to infiltrate the traditional art world with the Web3 space and blockchain technology. Since then, we are seeing so many events happening around Art Basel. Might it be in Miami, in Paris in October, or in Basel in Switzerland? It's beautiful to see that the community is just like trying so many different things. So it's actually the first time a digital art fair is being organized at the same time as Art Basel. It's a digital art mile. So it's happening all week long next week. It's organized by Georg Bach and Roger Haas. And we are organizing one morning dedicated to museums and Web3. We will be talking about museum collecting, patronage, decentralization, preservation, audience engagement, and we will have people, among the speakers, people from Next Museum, from the Museum of Moving Image, Unicorn DAO, the Museum Francisco Carolinum in Linz, the HEC in Basel, and many others. So it's just a conference, but it's also a meeting place where finally we can have, meeting place between the museum professionals being interested by the tech, the Web3 space, and the traditional art world. So I think it's a nice rendezvous, I would say.
So those who are curious about the Digital Art Mile, where's the best place for people to go if they want to learn more about that event?
Well, the website is called Art Meta. So easy, ARTMETA. And let me check, is
Perfect.
it artmeta.org? Yeah.
Okay. I've heard your team is also launching some paid courses for those looking to implement blockchain technology as part of their digital strategy. Can you walk us through what's on offer and how those interested can get involved?
Cool. Yeah, of course. So it's well, we've been requested. Well, a lot of people requested us to have access to our training because so far it has been available only via applications. So we are launching that in 2 weeks. People will be able to have access to the training. So it's online videos. One module is composed of 3 videos made by really good experts. So you have a lot of people working in museums or working for museums, but people who, they have been doing museums and blockchain for the past few years. So it's not newbies, far from it. But in terms of content, we will provide introduction to blockchain technology and culture and the mindset. I think this is really important, is to provide enough skills and critical thinking to everyone so they can have their own perspective and their own opinion on what's happening. A really extensive list of how blockchain technology can be used by cultural institutions, and including also a list of examples of generative AI and metaverse, but also some courses around the legal, ethical, and environmental considerations around blockchain and AI technologies. So again, we can equip people so they can understand what's happening, but also start doing it by themselves.
Awesome. This is all great stuff so far. I'm excited to learn more. But before we dive into the nitty gritty, are you ready for the world famous TezTalks lightning round?
Let's do it.
Just before we do that, I'd like to announce today's keyword for the 25 Tez we're giving away today. Today's keyword is !WAC. That is WAC. Enter the keyword !WAC below this video on X, and Nightbot will randomly select today's winner, who will announce in the comments below this video on X as well. Okay, now, Diane, it is lightning round time. Remember, there are no wrong answers. This is just for fun so our viewers can get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Pizza or sushi?
Pizza.
Movies or video games?
Movies.
Is this real life or are we in a simulation?
I believe it's real life, but I might be in the simulation.
True or false? Money buys happiness.
Totally false.
Name one thing you absolutely want to do before you die.
So I was thinking about it, and I think how to learn to sing is one thing that I would love to do.
Great answer. The last place you traveled was?
Provence in France.
Very nice. In 5 words or less, how would your best friend describe you?
Dreamer, nature lover, caring, utopist, a foodie.
Very nice.
Might be.
And finally, what's your favorite thing to do on a rainy day?
I work on my art.
Perfect. Excellent answers. This concludes the TezTalks lightning round. Let's get back into it. Now that we've spoken about WAC Labs and its role in bringing Web3 technology to the world's cultural institutions, I'd like to chat a bit about Tezos' role in all of this. I'm aware that you have a history with Tezos, the Tezos art ecosystem as a visual artist, and I'm also aware that you've spoken at length about that history previously, so we won't get into all of that. But can you talk a little bit about what originally attracted you to Tezos as a blockchain ecosystem? What was it about this particular ecosystem that you found appealing?
It all started there. I really love the diversity of medium, profiles, culture. Like people were coming really literally from everywhere. This was refreshing. It felt good. It felt good to be able also to be part of a community which was very generous. Like the object for object campaigns were just like, magical. And I think this community spirit, all around the hackathon as well, it's something that we felt really deeply, strongly. The community was just, yeah, it is just amazing. Also, the fact that I could meet other impact-driven artists and initiatives. Like from the start, I remember, you have to collect an NFT to donate. Like this kind of, the fundraisers campaigns with the hashtag. This was so simple. Like this totally blew my mind. Like you have to collect art to donate. Like so straightforward and yeah, very efficient. And I feel that everything was possible, as long as we were doing it together. And this type of generosity really stayed. The experimental mindset also is still here, really, really anchored into Tezos community. Right after he get Nung, we had FXH launching, and they were all about experimenting as well. At first, I couldn't understand anything, but it was also the case for so many platforms. So many marketplaces opening, and it was always, what's happening? I don't understand. And then, okay, let's try, and then let's have fun. I think it is really about that. And then object.com, they kept releasing new features, really funny one, really, some others which were closer to the traditional art words. At the end of the day, it is sorry, really about experimenting and having fun, really trying new stuff always. This is the
Okay.
best.
And obviously, your relationship with Tezos and its ecosystem has evolved significantly since then, with you now functioning as something of an ambassador to the cultural institutions that WAC Lab works with. I'm curious though, do you need to convince anyone that their applications can be built on Tezos anymore? Like, do the people you speak to care which chain their applications are built on, or is it simply a matter of demonstrating to them that Tezos's technology can deliver what they want?
Not easy. Again, we have different types of museums. So some of them, they will ask right away, what are we talking about? Are we talking about Ethereum? Or are we talking about something else? Some other institutions, and I was very surprised, for instance, last year when we had the Musée d'Orsay joining WAC, they just wanted to build on Tezos. That's it. They really understood that Tezos is the blockchain for the art and culture. It is where the artists are. It is where galleries and museums are. They didn't want to do anything else, anything on blockchain outside of the Tezos blockchain. So I have a few surprises like that. Sorry, and I will say that 60-70% of the museums that I'm talking to, they don't care. They just want to do it, whatever. If it is, on Polygon, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, Tezos, like they don't care. So it's always really different. But as I said, a few are actually asking for Tezos only, and this was totally not the case in 21 or 22. So that's a
Mm.
really huge step.
So obviously, the Web3 and art landscapes look quite a bit different today than they did back when you launched WAC Lab in 2021. Can you talk a bit about how the perception of blockchain technology in the art world has shifted as that sort of initial hype cycle around NFTs has died down?
Yeah, really different, definitely. So 2021 was all about fundraising, obviously, because the newspaper were only mostly talking about, the big numbers, the big stories of X dollars. So I think, the newspaper were really not giving us any choice or any chance to actually cover other stories.
Mm.
So 2021 was really about fundraising. 2022 a little bit as well. Because of course, museums, they really try to grab this golden ticket as everyone else. But then in 2022, we actually starting seeing museums experimenting with live minting, on-site engagement, and I really believe that what Bright Moments did with their amazing kind of religious practice of giving away these NFTs, and then what we saw in Art Basel multiple times on the Tezos booth. I don't know if you remember, but back in Miami 2021, we had actually Quasimodo having this installation with a camera, and then the visitor was approaching the screen, and then the visitor could see its own face being transformed by the AI model of Quasimodo. And this was then an NFT that the visitor could mint on site. So I think, the Tezos booth at Art Basel and Bright Moments whole thing really made museums curious about on-site audience engagement and live minting. And then, we've seen FXH doing it multiple times with Tezos, really showing that this is working, and that's actually an easy way to start onboarding anyone, basically. If they can do it at Art Basel, everyone can do it, and it could work in a museum. And I think that's something that museums understood. So that's why we saw Light Art Space, LAS Art Foundation doing what we did with them, and Ian Cheng. We saw Nina Hoer's exhibition at the Kunsthalle in Zurich, Dior, with Play Record Mint. So it was, again, this kind of playful way of interacting with the artwork, and then collecting your memory, collecting your contribution to it in a way. So am I answering your question?
Absolutely. Can you explain how cultural institutions like those who have participated in WAC Lab are embracing you spoke about this earlier, the decentralized mindset? How they're embracing the decentralized mindset that underpins so much of blockchain's sort of core ethos. As I said earlier, it seems like that would represent a big shift, especially for the legacy institutions in the space. So as you see it, how are they embracing that mindset at this stage in the game?
Well, it's still at the beginning, and I think most of them are still researching. So that's why they are focusing on one project, one platform, one thing. So it's highly focused. And when I'm talking about research, Serpentine is actually having this extensive research with Radical Exchange Foundation, where they want to research the future of art ownership. So basically, there is this entire concept where they want to use blockchain technology to distribute benefits to everyone who interacted or who contributed to the creative process of an artwork. And then the artwork is being basically shared, the property of the artwork and the authorship of the artwork is shared between all of these people, not only with one name, one artist. So whether it is, with Museum Ulm, experimenting with decentralized curation, but also decentralized operational models, or Serpentine trying to understand what it means, to own an artwork or to be an artist, even, or to be the artist, the creator. These are really research. The Museum Ulm is definitely more into the practice, because it's been a few years now that they're experimenting with decentralized curation, and now using blockchain technology to support it. And Serpentine is researching, but I'm sure at one point, as they always do, they will produce something and everyone will be, wow. But it's amazing to see that some of these institutions really dare doing it. When I was witnessing the beginning of Web 2 adoption in the museums, it was really slow and really, really low. I remember the Palace of Versailles, opening their YouTube channel, and this was wow. Now they are doing much more than just opening a YouTube channel. They dare to go way further, and really impressed, really.
Very cool. As I mentioned earlier, it sounds like WAC Lab Season 4 is already in the works. Can you give us a sneak peek into what your team has lined up for the 4th year of this project?
Well, to be honest, we don't know yet. We are just recovering from last week.
Okay. Okay.
But it will be the same, more or less. WAC weekly, the training, and then the incubator. We will stay multi-chain. We will keep integrating generative AI, or AI at large, and immersive technologies. We are being approached by different countries wanting to do something like WAC, but for their own country or for their own, in their own language. So I think season 4 will see the beginning of multiple WACs.
Hmm,
I will say happening at the same time. So let's see.
interesting. And aside from Season 4 of WAC Lab, what's next for the We Are Museums team? Do you have any other exciting rollouts or announcements in the works?
We can't talk about it right now, but we are working on another living lab, which is more around, multi-species and environmental cause. So
Okay.
totally something else, not about technology anymore.
Well, maybe when you can talk about it, you can come back on and we can get into it.
Definitely.
Okay. I mean, we could go a lot deeper into all of this stuff, but unfortunately, we are sort of coming to the end here. And before we close off, I'd like to remind our viewers that we're giving away 25 Tes today. To enter, just type the keyword exclamation point WAC, that's WAC, into the comments below this video on X. For those who miss out today, a reminder there are frequently awesome giveaways to be found here on TezTalks Live, so keep tuning in. If you'd like to get in touch with us, our social media contacts can be found at tezoscommons.org/TezTalks. We would love to hear from you. Diane, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always awesome to speak to the folks helping global cultural institutions bring their unique Web3 visions to life right here in the Tezos ecosystem. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we sign off here?
Well, if you can come in Basel, come, because like everyone is planning amazing things like FX Object. So many galleries are planning exhibitions. Of course, I'm doing my conference and I'm also exhibiting with objects, so it's great. But I can't wait. It's the digital art mile will be, yeah, beautiful reunion for the community and appreciation of our art.
Awesome. And again, what's the website for that?
Artsmeta.org.
Artmeta.org. Okay. To everyone out there in Tezos land, thanks for joining us on Tez Talks Live. I'm Stu from the Tezos Commons, and our awesome guest has been Diane Drubay, founder of We Are Museums. Now let's go get artistic.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye.